Hi, I'm Darren Rose. I'm a Senior Electronic Designer at Genelec, and welcome to this event. We're proud to announce that the Smart IP series of active loudspeakers for installations has grown with the addition of the new 4410 and the Smart IP Controller app. These are available right now, and there's a wealth of information already on our website at genelec.com/smart-ip. And if at any point during this event you have a question or a comment, please type it below and we'll get back to you in real time. The 4410 joins the existing 4420 and 4430 models to provide a single cable solution for installations, providing scalable power, audio and control over a single CAT cable. Because the 4410 is super compact, it extends the range of applications and room sizes that our Smart IP series can be used for. The Smart IP Controller app is available as a free download for all mobile devices, and it complements our existing Smart IP Manager software and allows seamless integration and control of key features within the overall audio system. Smart IP has already been chosen for various prestigious install projects around the world, including restaurants, museums, corporate offices, hotels, music venues, and even the Finnish embassy in Tokyo. In fact, any location that requires premium audio, total flexibility and simple installation will benefit from our Smart IP loudspeakers. We'll proceed by giving you a brief overview of what Smart IP technology is, how it works and what benefits it brings. We'll be hearing from my colleague Markus, who will be telling us about some details of the new products and how they're used. We'll also be hearing from some users of our Smart IP technology in some video testimonials from them. And our team will be answering questions throughout, so if you've got any questions, type them into the comments section below and they'll get back to you. So now for a rundown on the Smart IP features and the new models, here is Markus.
My name is Markus Kahelin, and welcome to the world of Genelec and to the world of Genelec Smart IP. Let me introduce to you some of the features of this system. Smart IP is a range of loudspeakers forming a networked audio system that is intended for AV installations. Typical applications for these systems are museums, restaurants, art galleries, hotels, corporate AV installations, educational facilities, room of worship applications, and so on. Anywhere where you need compact, good performance, scalable loudspeaker system, Smart IP is the perfect tool for that. The building blocks of this system are the loudspeaker models already on the market 4430 and 4420, and now the brand new little brother 4410. And all these models can be mixed and combined together in a single system, and you can also fit 4410s into existing systems if you need to add more channels. Along with the loudspeakers, we are providing a software tool called Smart IP Manager. Smart IP Manager is a tool that you will run in your Windows computer and use that tool to set up the system after the installation. Using Smart IP Manager allows you to control all the signal processing features inside each loudspeaker, such as levels, delays, and adjusting the EQ settings so that you can tune the sound color of each loudspeaker to match perfectly your application and the acoustics of the room. You can also store these settings so that they can be recalled later on if you need to change the settings on the fly. We also provide a programming interface, API, which is a documented application programming interface through which you can assign these control features into your existing automation system and then use maybe a touchscreen controller to control the loudspeaker system, turn the volume up and down, power the system on and off, and recall presets. What we are now also offering for this system is a mobile device app called Smart IP Controller. And the Smart IP Controller is a really cool feature which allows you to use those control features without the built-in house automation system. What you need for the Smart IP app is the ability to connect to the same network where the loudspeakers are through a Wi-Fi base station, and then with using the app you can control volume up and down, mute the system, power the loudspeakers on and off, and assign these controls based on the zones that you have created using the Smart IP Manager software. Now let me show you how the Smart IP controller app works. Let's go and have a look in a real-life application how you can control your system using the app. So let me show you how you can use the Smart IP controller app. I have it installed here on my iPad. The iPad is connected to the Wi-Fi in the building, and that is connected to the same network as the loudspeakers and the audio system. And Smart IP controller allows me to power on the system. It's opening time. This is a restaurant, so we turn the system on. We can see the loudspeakers booting up. Perfect. Then we can check that it works. We turn up the volume. It works. We can turn the volume down. Put it on a nice background music levels. If we need, we can quickly mute the system and then put it back on. And this tool can be for the staff here at the restaurant. They can use it all day long if they need. And there's no need to have any other control system if your system features only audio that you need. But if you need more control, more applications, then you can use a control system. But Smart IP controller app is a really neat feature that connects you personally into the Smart IP system.
If you have any questions at this point, type them into the comments section. We'll get straight back to you.
So what are the benefits of this kind of networked audio system? It may sound like a bit complicated to be used, especially if you just need a simple installation, let's say 2 or 4 loudspeakers. But the benefits are clear even then, because the single cable connectivity means that setting up the cabling and installing it is really easy and cost effective. You are using standard network cabling that is widely available all around the world, really easy to install. The loudspeakers themselves are really compact, so you can easily find a good location inside your room or venue to set them up so that they are ideally located for a nice coverage and a very pleasant soundstage that they can present. The system features also very low power consumption thanks to the very efficient built-in electronics, so they expose the room to very small amounts of heat loading, which is very important if you are in an environment or climate where you need to be cooling all the indoor facilities. The cooling system doesn't need to work so hard when you have a very small heat load from the audio system. Scalability is one of the key features. First of all, on the design stage, when you need to plan for the cabling, plan for the equipment placement, and set up the system, it is very easy to scale the system to any size, because the only piece of equipment that needs to be scaled or multiplied is your network connections, your network switches, and the availability of those ports providing the PoE plus power. After you have done this, you can very freely set up your system, since your cabling no longer dictates where the signal can go. It can go anywhere as long as it's connected to the network. So let me show you some details of this brand new 4410 Smart IP loudspeaker. It's a very compact, smallest Genelec system in this range, and it's the matching size as already introduced Genelec 6010, 8010 and G1 home audio system. And the connectivity features only one connector. You have a RJ45 network connector down here and the power switch, and that's all you need. The difference between the new 4410 and the bigger 4420 and 4430 is the fact that 4410 features no analog line-in connector, which is available on the larger models, where you can use that to feed a local analog line level source also into the loudspeakers. But the 4410 is fully featured with all the networked streaming audio functionalities and has the same amount of signal processing power as the bigger brothers. Powering the Smart IP system is done using PoE plus, Power-over-Ethernet standard, that is widely available from various manufacturers of network devices, switches especially, that are a little bit larger format with a managed system, and they feature PoE plus feed on each of the ports so that you can connect then your loudspeakers into the network switch. These switches are also available in a smaller format. Let's say a 4 ports or 8 ports is also available if you want to run just a small system in a small venue. You can also power the Smart IP system using a device called PoE Plus injector, which is a separate power supply that you connect between your network switch and the loudspeaker to provide additional power feed to a cable. And especially in a case if you have a switch and a network that doesn't have the PoE capability built in. Maybe it's an existing infrastructure in a building and you're just adding the audio system on top of that. You can just add the PoE Plus injector devices and that way provide the power feed.
Thank you, Markus.
Thank you, Darren.
And our first guest video is by Päivärinne from Granlund.
Päivärinne from Granlund, and I'm working there as a sound designer. We are at the Sports Museum in Helsinki, a newly renovated Olympic Stadium in Helsinki. It consists of Genelec IP 4430 speakers in different formations in different rooms, creating different immersive audio systems. The main idea behind the AV design of this museum was the ease of installing the equipment and also trying to achieve a financially working system. Whenever I think about the sports, every sports have some kind of sound and it must be heard. I think it will bring another layer to the experience. And nowadays I think people are seeking more and more immersive experiences also in the museum environment. I think it's beneficial for a sound system where you can adjust individually each speaker and the EQ, and where you can actually do that all by yourself, and it's not complicated. It's not like rocket science or anything, so I find that very good. Why did I choose Smart IPs to this project? It seemed like a wise choice because we already had wide cabling, Ethernet cabling, and so we could use that as a part of the system, so that made the choice much easier. You don't have to think about the separate cabling, the signal cabling for the speaker itself, so you can do the signal and the power on the same cable, so that enables or makes it much easier to create these immersive sound experiences. So I'm happy how the story unfolds while you're watching different segments of this museum. And for me, I can really feel how I'm being put in the middle of the action. When Seppo Räty is throwing the javelin at the Olympic Stadium, I can hear how the people are cheering, and when the Teemu Pukki or Jari Litmanen makes the goal, I can really sense that. Well, but what is interesting from my point of view is that what kind of stories I can tell and with what kind of equipment. If I'm thinking about the IP-SAM speakers and how I can run the signal through the Ethernet, I can think about different stories in very versatile spaces, like different spaces bringing nature in, shopping malls, offices, shops, whatever. Immersive sound is going to be big, and this is going to make it much more easier to bring it in to the spaces. I'm pretty much sure that these kind of systems will be the sound systems of the future.
Thanks, Aki. That's definitely on my list for summer. And now Magnus Westin from Scan AV in Sweden.
My name is Magnus Westin. I'm co-owner and chief system save designer for Scan AV Kommunikation, and I do all the systems design for all our projects within the company. Today we are here at Cecil Coworking in Stockholm. The sound needed to be natural and evenly balanced and non-distracting in all areas. Aesthetics, looks, and of course sound quality all together needed to create that premium feeling for this fantastic project. AV, in my opinion, are historically usually last in line to get access to these areas. Normally a couple of weeks prior to opening. The time slot for installing and creating the sound environment was of course expected to be tight. So using the network infrastructure to deliver all signals, control and power is our way to actually buy that crucial time back. Genelec Smart IP delivers the scalability, reliability and continuity using one of the most common current standard infrastructure components ever been deployed, the CAT network cable. Whether this network infrastructure is newly installed or even somewhat legacy, it actually gives us the advantage of easy remote management in a way that gives us the benefit of faster deployment, in-depth monitoring, producing the great Genelec sound quality in a control system, quality rarely heard actually from PoE speakers, all in one single cable. The Smart IP series is similar or matches the rest of the family of Genelec speakers with outstanding sound quality. I'm really thrilled that Genelec brand is now well known from a customer point of view. The Smart IP speakers produce a close and precise living room audio experience instead of a possible diffuse soundstage. The available mountings now and placement options for these speakers are hugely versatile. For instance, the L-shaped stands, they play a huge part of contributing to incorporating the overall design of the entire project. Really gives that almost in-room and in-living room feel of the whole project. We always use Smart IP Manager now to discover and easily configure the speakers before or during deployment. The Smart IP speakers and the Smart IP Manager together delivers firmware updates easily, level control, IP setup and EQ adjustments directly from a standard computer, giving us the optimal sound quality in different room conditions if we need to calibrate them later. Sustainability and awareness of natural resources in our world and to allocate them to fulfill needs of a particular product will always, of course, influence our choice of any product. AV over IP is still somewhat unique in major installations, but it will most likely become the main standard for sound recreation. The PoE standard is still advancing and will be able to provide up to 90 watts later on using Type 4. Using the modern infrastructure with the Cat6a is now considered to be actually the backbone in any office. So the convenience of Smart IP will really show its formidable benefits in the future.
Thanks, Magnus. That's some real premium office inspiration.
And I think now is a perfect time to cover some questions. We've been receiving a lot of good questions about some facts and figures and some details of how the system operates and how it can be scaled and so on.
Right.
So let's dive into that and let's start by checking if you know the numbers. What is the maximum cable length in this kind of system if you measure it from the network switch up to the loudspeaker?
Longer than 25 centimeters?
It's a lot longer than 25 centimeters. Actually, the maximum cabling length is 100 meters. That is over 300 feet, which is basically dictated by the actual data traffic in the network. So we are dealing with the Ethernet connection, and it can carry the data over a certain distance in a Cat5 or Cat6 cable, and that is giving us the maximum cabling length, which for the power is exactly the same number, 100 meters. That's a lot of cable.
That's a lot of cable. That'll certainly work for a variety of installations, even quite large installations like this, this place we're in now.
It's not a problem. And then another popular question is that what is the maximum channel count of this kind of networked audio system? How many channels can you send in or play out with the loudspeaker system?
That is a good question. I know that we haven't actually run out of channels.
That's actually the correct answer because the system is fully scalable and there is no fixed number for the maximum channel count. One of the limiting factors might be the capabilities of your network, but if you have a managed gigabit switch, you can easily run hundreds of channels in and out through the system, and the amount of loudspeakers is only limited by the number of available network ports with the PoE plus power feed.
Now, you mentioned switch, which made me remember that actually we get a lot of questions, which switch should I use? People are asking us to recommend a switch. Do we have any advice for people?
We don't recommend using any specific brand or model of switches because there's a big variety of different devices on the market, and depending on the country where you are, the availability may be different. But On a general level, we could say that if you have a small system, let's say 15 loudspeakers or less, and you are sending audio from one device, you are fully okay to be using a 100 mega switch. That is a basic non-managed device. But if you have a large account of devices, being it anything that is connected to the network, and especially if you are streaming audio to more than 15 loudspeakers, then you definitely need a managed switch that can support the QoS, quality of service protocol, that takes care that your traffic is uninterrupted when it's traveling. And then basically that's the only limiting factor. And after that, if you have a managed switch, you can run hundreds of channels. The brand of the switch can be whatever you can easily obtain. There are some specifications about the capabilities of the switches. If you want to have a look, Ordinate has published a list for Dante-capable switches, which is one recommendation that can be used as a reference if you need. Then we already mentioned the power. These smart IP systems are powered using the PoE plus power feed, which is low voltage, fairly low amount of power, roughly 25 watts if you have a long cable run at the loudspeaker end available. So how do we actually do it? How is it possible to achieve good performance from an active loudspeaker that has built-in electronics, 2 amplifiers, and run it with that very limited amount of electric power available?
It's magic. No, it's
pure magic.
It's you have to remember the music as a signal. It's not continuous. So actually, the average to peak ratio of music is quite large. So while you might need momentarily an awful lot of power, over time, you don't actually need so much power. So you take the available power from the PoE or PoE plus switch, and you kind of store it, and you use it as necessary. So that overall, you don't need more power than the switch will give you. So patience and storage.
Yeah, and this probably also means that your team, electronics designers, you have worked quite intensively on designing a brand new power supply for this system, because it is completely different than any other Genelec system from that point of view.
Yeah.
Or
it wasn't a super quick process. You know, there was a good idea, but it required an awful lot of testing. We had to prove it to ourselves, and we had to prove it to other people that listen to the systems too. So there was quite a lot involved. But we're very pleased with the results. So here's a question that we get asked quite a lot then. Can I stream wirelessly to the loudspeaker?
yeah, that's a very popular topic, and the short answer is no. Loudspeaker itself and the Smart IP system is based on a streaming technology that is real-time, uncompressed professional audio, Dante or AES67. And that means that you need to have a wire running from the network to each loudspeaker carrying the signal. And real-time, super low latency transmission is not possible over wireless networks. So wireless is perfectly fine for controlling it, like using the just launched Smart IP controller, or accessing your Dante system with the Dante controller software from your computer, so you can do the assignments of channels. But to run the actual signal to the system, you need to be connected to a wire to provide this low latency and uncompressed professional quality.
Yeah, so this all comes back to the whole kind of birth of IP audio, really, and why it's done the way that it is, and the challenges that there are with, you know, syncing various channels and ensuring a robust, reliable signal that sounds good. We still need a wire.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of questions about people wondering if they need to be some kind of IT guru to actually use these loudspeakers. I mean, they're IP speakers.
Yeah.
What do you think? What would you say to someone who's nervous about using Smart IP?
Well, I've tried it myself. I'm no IT guru. I don't have any background with network engineering, but I've been working with this system now for a few years, and it's really easy to use. If you stick to the basic settings and follow the guidelines, you can basically just plug in the devices, power them on, and then follow those few steps that are explained in the operating manual of each Smart IP loudspeaker. And that way you can get the system up and running in no time. Most of the settings happen automatically because we are running the system based on existing protocols that are supported by the switches. So things like IP addresses, subnet masks, and other numbers that you would need to type in, they all can be obtained automatically. And the Smart IP system loudspeakers are shipped from the factory with this automatic setting enabled. So you can just pick it out of the box, connect it, power on your network, and you are ready to go with the software tools to set it up. With few mouse clicks, you are ready to rock.
Yeah, so you don't need any kind of new skills, and especially if you've done any other kind of AV installations which use IP technology, you're ready to go. Well, I think we're pretty much out of time, and we'd like to thank everyone for following us, joining us in this event, and yeah, see you next time.
Thank you.